Welcome everybody to our first quarterly town hall. We're very happy to have you here. And already from the beginning, there might be a lot of questions, so I want to offer you to join at slido.com. You can get this QR code off this slide. We will share, of course, later on again at the Q&A section, so do not worry about this. And with that, no further ado, I'd like to welcome Brian, our founding steward.
Hello, everybody. I think many of you have seen my face on prior videos, but thrilled that everybody is here and really excited about the town hall meeting and sharing everything that we've been doing and where we're heading with Cerebrum. For those that aren't familiar with us, our vision is that we envision a world with only healthy brains. And so that means our mission is an ambitious one, and it is ending all brain diseases. And so to do that, what we've created with CerebrumDAO, we are a global network organization, and we're community funded and governed. So anybody that has bought a token, the Neuron token, has governance rights in the DAO and what we do, and has contributed funding or support to our mission. And in order to achieve this mission of ending brain diseases, that means it's going to take a long time. It's not that it's not achievable, it's just going to take some time. And we need everybody in the world engaged in this. And so that's why we've decided, and when I got going on this to found CerebrumDAO, I decided in order to achieve this kind of ambition, we had to organize the world's population to solve what's essentially a world problem, which is preventing our brains from getting diseases as we age. And my personal motivation for coming into this, many of you have heard before, is my youngest daughter, Ruby May, who has Down syndrome, and people with Down syndrome are highly likely to get early onset Alzheimer's, and it's because the 21st chromosome is triplicated in them, and on that chromosome is the amyloid precursor protein, which is producing amyloid throughout their life. And the combination of that with chronic inflammation accelerates pathology of Alzheimer's in that population. And that means pathology in their 30s and symptoms in their 50s, and they're unlikely to live past Alzheimer's in their 60s. And that just created a motivation to solve not only that disease for Down syndrome, but that disease globally, because it's forecasted that Alzheimer's is going to impact 150 million people directly by the year 2050. And the number is probably a lot larger than that. I think the US population, there are 40 million people with pre-symptomatic Alzheimer's right now. And then that got me intrigued in looking at brain diseases more broadly. And, we looked at how do we embark on this mission and be successful? And that is to look at these brain diseases as a function of aging and try to get upstream and be much more ambitious on treating brain disease as a function of aging and looking for upstream interventions to prevent many of these diseases from even happening. And so that's what we're here to do. That's what we're about. That's what our community is. And I mentioned we have a global network organization. So I want to feature our leadership team to start. And so we have a core team that operates and runs the DAO. It's these amazing people here that have come together and are working on behalf of our community and the world's population to end brain disease. But it's not just us, and you're going to hear introductions from each of them as they touch on their group within this network organization that they lead and steward. And within those groups, there are dozens of people that are all doing work on part-time or project basis from around the world. So we've grown into quite an extended global network organization already, and we got a long way to go. I'm eager for them to all introduce themselves and to introduce the work that they're doing, because it's quite compelling, and I'm really amazed at the progress we've made in such a short period of time. Go ahead, Yaltan. So I want to highlight our journey. So where did we come from? Where are we right now? and the team is going to share a little bit more about what we're actively doing now and where we're heading. So our journey began a little over a year and a half ago, 18 to 24 months ago. And it was very simple. We just set on this mission and we said, let's go recruit from around the world and see who wants to join us on the mission. So we started doing some community building, and that culminated in a community of several thousand people following us and several hundred people actively interested. And we launched our Neuron auction, sold our Neuron token to the public a little over a year ago in April of 2024. We raised over $2.1 million in that. And we got right to work, starting to source, evaluate, structure, fund, and develop projects. And so we've funded 7 opportunities. One's a product opportunity, 2 are equity investments in strategic biotech companies targeting Alzheimer's. And we've got 4 of our own IP projects that we're developing, all of which have been tokenized as IP NFTs, and 3 of which have been tokenized as IP tokens. And so we've come a long way in a short period of time. It's only been a little bit over a year since we did the initial auction, and we're already actively fostering multiple projects. And many of those projects have already announced results and are about to announce more results soon. So I want to talk about a couple of those right now, really high level. We're going to go into those in a little bit more detail later. And so our IP portfolio, IPT, so IPTs are IP tokens. So these are tradable tokens that each govern these projects. So you can buy these tokens. We sold the Percepta token to the public to raise $450,000 in total. We sold the Mighty token for Fission Bio, and we also raised an auction for Project Transfidelity with the University of Basel. And these IP tokens now become governance tokens where the token holders can govern and decide the fate and progress and decisions for these projects going forward. What's super exciting, the Percepta project is one that's tangible today. It's a natural product, it's a nootropic. And there is really strong results and research behind this in mouse models and in laboratory data for human cells in lab dishes that show this has a lot of promise as a potential neuroprotective solution against a lot of potential brain issues and certainly for memory support. We don't know that for certain yet because this product, and like many other natural products, have never been tested in humans under clinical conditions to prove these outcomes. And so what Percepta is we've partnered with the company that's behind it, Cognitive Clarity, and we're funding a human trial. It's a human decentralized trial that's about to kick off any week now. And what we're hoping to do is prove in humans that Percepta is positive for memory and cognition. And we're also looking at some other biomarker endpoints for neurodegenerative diseases. So we're going to see how that plays out. And the good news is Percepta is available today. You can take it, it's safe. It's been around. You can buy it on the open market on Amazon or directly from our partner. If it proves out to be efficacious, then you've got a very low cost and durable and safe neuroprotective solution that we've been able to prove works. So we're hopeful on that one. Fission Bio is an upstream intervention against Alzheimer's disease. We're looking at mitochondrial dysfunction. And we've got some promising early results on compounds, and I know Peter's going to talk about that more later. And Transfidelity is also an upstream intervention looking at translational fidelity in the aging process. And it is targeting Alzheimer's disease as well. And so these are very promising projects. Our mission for looking at brain disease as a function of aging is, like I said, go upstream, but also because we're a community-funded organization that literally wants to solve these diseases for ourselves, we look at things very differently, and we say, let's be very ambitious. Let's look at a diversity of hypotheses. Let's look at upstream interventions. Let's take a lot more shots on goal. Let's invest smaller dollar amounts and try a lot of things, and let's lean in on the ones that are showing results and promise and accelerate them into the market. And when I say accelerate, we're looking at things as quickly as we possibly can. We're leaning into the winners, and the science is still going to guide us all the way through to FDA approvals. But our goal is to find a lot of solutions to a lot of problems with brain disease and aging. And I want to talk about one more that we just funded under an IP NFT. We haven't sold the IP token yet. And this one is targeting ataxias. So we think this is a promising project. It came to us from a few universities in the United States. We sourced it. And it has a lot of promise in that the underlying science behind this is based on a previous therapeutic that made it to phase 2 clinical trials from Cadent, and it was acquired by Novartis for different reasons. And we think that this is a better solution, but we also think it could have a good safety profile. So we wanted to take this to market. It's a rare disease. Just last week, we had a rare disease community, Ataxia UK, on with us featuring this project. And I think we heard patient stories in that podcast that tell us why, explain to us very clearly why we're doing what we're doing, because the disease is it's rare. It doesn't have any solutions, and we heard from loved ones on that call that they had lost loved ones to this disease, early in life. And so it's an acute need out there. It could be a blockbuster therapeutic, and we're really excited to be advancing this one as well. And so I think what you're seeing now is we've got a global community that's really energized. We got thousands of people around the world following us. We've got a team that knows how to do this stuff very effectively, and we're sourcing some really ambitious projects. We're moving along quite quickly with a lot of them, and we're really excited about the progress in a short period of time, and even more excited about how we can do more, better, faster as we grow this community from thousands to tens of thousands, and hopefully eventually millions of people. And so we're excited that you're here to hear the stories and be part of this, and looking forward to your participation. And I'm going to turn it over to our team now. I want you to hear from each and every one of them. It's an incredibly talented team, and they're doing fantastic work. So I'm going to let them speak for themselves now.
Thank you so much, Brian. Thank you for the introduction. Yeah, welcome everybody. It's really heartwarming seeing everybody here. It's our first ever town hall, so we're quite excited. And definitely it's not our last one. So expect a lot more town halls to come in the future. And the idea would be to keep you up to date, stay transparent as we've always been, and take all the achievements that we've done and celebrate them all together in one live stream, hopefully. So yeah. I'll give a quick introduction about myself. My name is Liwa Shayib. I'm the community working group steward at CerebrumDAO, leading the whole community initiatives and the marketing with the amazing team that you have here in the call. So today I'm going to take you a little bit through the marketing side and the community growth side of Cerebrum, and show you a couple of key results and highlights that we've managed to achieve. And this is still the early days of DeSci as a whole. So we are still progressing forward, and we're still discovering things as we go forward and achieve. So the first thing I wanted to start with is kind of like explain the challenge that we have at the community level. So it's a very challenging way to communicate with Web3 users, especially in a niche market. And DeSci being fairly new and fairly small, it's always a challenge in bringing together DeSci communities, which is the Web3 community, and bridging them to the science community, which is the traditional science. And usually scientists are finding maybe a difficult gap to bridge between understanding the new type of innovation and technology in Web3 and also the traditional finance. But as we progress forward, and as we continue educating, and as we continue pushing awareness, we're getting more and more people joining our initiative. So the challenge has been and will always be that there is a bridge in information and a gap between the technology and innovation and the neuroscience or science in general. And the solution that we figure out is mainly awareness. So we are pushing awareness, we're pushing updates, we're pushing information, we're creating town halls such as this town hall today to continue educating everybody and informing them that there is new ways of doing science, and it might be even a better way of doing science in the future. So as we progress, as things will change, and we continue driving this mission forward within DeSci as a whole. So to go through a couple of figures, I like to split them across two parts. So we have the onboarded members, and we have our, of course, community members on X and Discord. So when I say onboarded members, I mean they are the members that we actually onboarded them to the DAO mechanism. So we operate as a DAO ecosystem, although we are also led by a core team in order to move the vision forward. But we still have a DAO ecosystem around us that support us and members that kind of assist us in driving the vision forward. So we managed to grow our onboarded members quite significantly. We have around 111 members today. These are active members that are working with us in different working groups. Of the 111 members, we have 50 scientists, and it's always heartwarming for me specifically because I take the initiative in actually onboarding these members on one-to-one calls, and it's always nice to jump on a call with a scientist that gets this aha moment when he figures out what we are doing. And it's always a blessing, and we're always grateful to have these scientists join us and support us in the mission and drive forward a very important mission in bridging science and Web3 and making something good. So we've seen this growth quite consistently. We've seen also a bigger growth when the DeSci, quote unquote, like DeSci season was happening, and we're expecting this to happen again very soon. So we're kind of like strapping in and making sure that everybody has this opportunity forward. So if you'd like to also be like an onboarded member, of course, later down the slides, we're going to show you how to apply and become part of the working group. Perfect. So in terms of announcements, our Telegram is up and running. So whoever wants to tap into the latest information and updates, you can go into our Telegram. Our Telegram also acts as a community server. So feel free to share your questions with us and we will directly answer you. It also acts as our data storage and our database for all of the other IPT projects, which Peter will talk about them a little bit later in details. But you can get all the information, updates on everything we're doing across the IP portfolio through Telegram, and of course through our main channel, which is Discord. So feel free to join our Telegram today. Our Cerebrum stack is also up and running. You can join our newsletter on the website directly, and our Substack acts as a newsletter that gives you updates on monthly basis. So we share all the updates, achievements, and milestones with you on monthly basis. So you can go to our website and register for that, and you can see the whole archive of our newsletter as well available for you to directly subscribe to it and receive it on monthly basis. Finally, events, and I'd like to tap into a couple of important points here. We're very active in joining events, and for the past 2 years now, we've actively been part of a lot of events, and now we're also taking initiatives and actually hosting the events. So definitely you will see us and see the whole team, especially Brian, and most of the DeSci events, so feel free to approach us. We named a couple of important events that we joined a couple of years ago or even a couple of months ago. So we have, for example, the DeSci events across the world, DeSci London, DeSci Berlin, and even the DeSci with Solana. We're joining these events actively, and we're trying to position ourselves as leaders in the DeSci space and in neuroscience as a whole. In terms of IPT portfolio, I wouldn't go into details here. I'll leave that to Peter a little bit later. However, I just wanted to share with you guys that the IPT portfolio is up and running on the website. Our website is completely dynamic and updated, and you can have a look at all the IP portfolio that we have right now. So you can look at all the active projects that Brian just mentioned and how you can also contribute to the projects and understand exactly what each IPT stands for and what we actually we achieve in these projects. Finally, Molecule XYZ is actually up and running now. And for everybody that wants to look at the on-chain data of all the IP projects that we have, you can head to Molecule's website, or you can even scan the QR code and head to the Molecule dashboard. There you will find some of our projects, the ones that Brian mentioned. So Fission Biomytine, Neuron Percepta Claw, and soon we have also Transfidelity that will be listed there. You can see all the updates, the IPT token, and how the flow goes. And of course, you can take part in the project directly from the website. Perfect. So off to Mark now, our product working group. I think there's a lot of exciting announcements you're going to hear from him here. So stand tight.
Thank you, Liva. My name is Mark Landikovic. I'm leading the product working group at Cerebrum, where we're really focused on balancing the work that's being done in translational neuroscience with products that are coming to the consumers. So the product working group is really focused on empowerment. You know, when I talk to people about brain health and neurodegeneration, they often say, or they believe, that they don't have a say in it, or they can't take any action to really affect how their brain is changing. And I, like many people, have seen neurodegeneration in family members and people around me. And really, one of our primary mission here is to allow people to be able to measure their brain health, understand how it's changing longitudinally over the course of months and years, and to take action, daily actions, monthly actions, yearly actions. And we built this product working group based around different subproducts. For example, we work with Exponetic and 21 Impact Labs to use the Brain Health Index to measure brain change quarterly. And now we're building out new products to really help people understand their brain health journey, and then give them access to interventions through products, supplements, and expanding product partnerships. One of these is Percepta, our supplement and application. Another is using non-clinical trials to collect data and really create a scaling factor whereby people can collaboratively work together to understand brain health, actually do research within our community, and then translate that into clinical trials at a later stage. And one of the problems that we've also seen in the crypto world and also in, let's say, the Web 2 world, there are a number of different ways that we can interact with Web3 and crypto products. For example, having tokens, having governance utility, having exchange between fiat and cryptocurrencies, getting discounts for products. It's a very complex world that we want people to engage with. And one of the things that we are now developing at Cerebrum is an answer to the complexity of interacting with crypto and brain health as a whole. And our answer to that is Cerebrum Cortex. So with Cortex, we really want to simplify and make access to brain health and also the crypto and neuron ecosystem really seamless and integrated. So Cortex is an application that will bring together the functionality of Neuron, fiat conversions, a wallet, discounts for products, and also access to your brain health longitudinally. Cerebrum Cortex is going to be a central application that we kicked off in our building, and it's really going to empower Neuron through functionality for brain health exchange, as well as scaling interventions with access in our marketplace application. And this is one of the key ways to give empowerment to people to understand their brain health and really to affect it over the course of years going into the future. If we look at our product roadmap, we're currently working on finalizing development of our web store, which is going to bring brain health products to the masses, to the community, allow for community engagement. The Cortex app has been funded through a governance action recently, and we're kicking off the requirements and development process just next week. With Percepta, you've heard a bit about this earlier from Brian. This health supplement is currently going into a human clinical trial. We've completed study design, and we're currently working in the final process of finalizing the IRB approval before starting subject recruitment. Also in this phase, we're using this as a essentially revenue-generating opportunity for the DAO, where we've kicked off marketing of Percepta, which will then integrate with the whole product ecosystem from Cerebrum. So I'm really excited to build these products and bring them out with the rest of the product working group and the core team, and looking forward to feedback and engagement from the community.
All right, thank you so much, Mark. So it's me, I'm Yatam. I'm the operations steward, and 2 years ago I met Brian at DeSci Berlin, where I went with my mom. So my mom has Alzheimer's, or has been diagnosed, and this motivated me a lot to find different ways, because it's a pretty lonely experience. You don't really have many answers, you don't really have much support. So this is how I can contribute to this. So in the operations team, or the operations working group, we look at, well, how can we organize things the best way? We are we need to be legally compliant. We're registered in Switzerland, and we have to do everything that a normal company has to do as well. And need to make sure that we plan our things well, so we can reach as far as we can with our investments. And we have to have an edge. So how can we integrate this decentralized way of doing things with a normal, let's say, traditional world of biotech? So I take a look at, or I spend a lot of time looking at how can we optimize the team, how can we optimize the knowledge that we have coming in and that we also produce, and of course normal things like payments, budgeting, and so on. So my main thing is, how can I get most obstacles out of the way so that the team can gain speed, as we want to do more and more and more. We're just at the beginning. And that's it from me. Over to you, Marina.
Thank you, Yatan. I guess I'll start with the translational neuroscience team. My name is Marina. I'm a psychiatrist by training and a cognitive neuroscientist. And actually, I have spent all my career in the space of brain aging, late life depression, late life cognitive impairment, dementia, and so on. And we have built a very functional team. I'm really happy to work with these people. Michele, who is our partnerships lead, he is looking into sourcing. He is always on the top of research and communicating, finding new potential projects for us, and then also following up on a number of steps. And we have Peter, who is the head of translational science. Peter, would you introduce yourself?
Yes, for sure. Hello, everybody. My name is Peter Kroenen. I've been working in the biopharma industry for about 23 years, and then I left to help other companies. And then I ran into Marina, who introduced me to CerebrumDAO, and I was very interested in how the whole construction worked. Very different from where I have been living for the last 23 years, but I also grown a certain frustration on how we do things. I'll talk about that later in the industry, and I was fascinated by the decentralized science idea and how we can potentially accelerate things, but also do things better and go into the science corners where others are not going. So that's my driver. And I'm together with Marina and Michele looking at the science side, looking at sourcing, evaluating the projects, and looking at translation. And translation, as we will see later, has many different components. One of them, again, what I find interesting is how you make decisions in this complexity of diseases and drug discovery. So that's a bit my background.
Thank you, Peter. This is a perfect segue to the next slide, because indeed I wanted to start with with my beginning at CerebrumDAO. We had to build the science strategy from scratch, and we need to make some decisions. And one of the decisions was to select areas of interest which cover pathomechanisms involved in different diseases, in multiple neurodegenerative, but also mental health diseases. So those mechanisms that we decided to follow were neuroinflammation, blood-brain barrier dysfunction originally. Later this year, we decided to also involve research on Down syndrome, as those patients have multiple neurodegenerative aspects in their development, and they also develop early Alzheimer's disease. And also, we are looking into mitochondrial and metabolic dysfunctions as the players in the brain aging. At the time that I have spent in Cerebrum, we have tried different options, and we learned a couple of things that worked for us. And what I especially appreciate is the community we are working with. We have numerous neuroscientists and pharmacologists, medicinal chemists in our community. We have contacted a number of universities, and it's really amazing to work with people who are smarter than you. So this is just a snapshot of the universities from which we have heard the presentations, and we have evaluated their projects. A couple of universities that you can see here represent the background of teams that we have funded already. So Stanford University, University of Basel, and UT Southwestern are the ones that already received some funding from us. Michele is the person who is working on sourcing for us. I'll take over his slide as well. Next. And what we figured out that still the best way to find researchers is to actually screen for the newest research and contact them directly. So we do contact researchers individually, we do contact universities, we send the information about our funding to the newsletters. This year we have tested another strategy, is actually to contact organizations who know best what happens in their field. And an example that you can see here is the Ataxia UK. They actually know all the research that is top-notch in their area, and they have contact to patients, and they actually know the needs. This is another way to expand our coverage. And we're also working very actively with the other DECI projects. And well, recently we had a contact with the Max Planck Digital Library, who has their own DECI initiative, which was absolutely warm for me because I spent over 10 years in Max Planck and I'm still a guest researcher there. Maybe to the next slide. Here I wanted to describe how our process works. So as I said, we run the initial outreach. And then if researchers have interesting projects that have a translational potential, which is absolutely crucial for us because the translational neuroscience group is looking for new treatments. We are in a very regulated space and we need to tick a number of boxes. So after the project presentation happens, we create the list of questions and answers and evaluate them. And basically for those projects that we think are translational, we follow up with the proposal submission request. Each proposal is evaluated by our team, but also by external senior reviewers. And I have also to tell you that we are working with the excellent people who have decades of experience in biopharma, and they really know what pharma is looking for and what the FDA will be looking for later. We also figured out that it's good to have things more personal, unlike very traditional academic grants. So senior reviewers also suggested that we meet with the researchers after they conduct the review. This allows us to run through the questions that senior reviewers might have in addition to ours. And after this meeting with the senior reviewers, we go on to the internal discussion, and that's when the decision on the funding is happening. And now I'm happy to give it to Peter, who will talk about the projects that we have funded already and the progress that they are showing.
Yes, thank you, Marina. I will try to give a brief overview, and I will try to go deep enough for you to get an understanding, where our innovation lies and how we are actually operating, and what Brian already alluded to in the beginning, why we try to kind of find ways to be faster and more efficient. and to go into directions where few companies are going at the moment. So next slide, please, Yatan. So this is just to get an intro of the way of we work. I put this in just to make sure that we understand how we differentiate from working in the pharma industry. So the pharma industry, as this picture is depicting, is not doing too well. The output is stagnating, and we are increasing our expenditure in the industry. By the 9 years, it doubles almost. So we are now on 3 billion per drug. And if you're looking at this line is still going down. So if you're looking at the unmet medical needs, they're not going away. They're actually increasing with an aging population. So we clearly need to do things differently, and we need to innovate from the outside. So that's how we look also at our portfolio and how we populate our portfolio. Next slide. Yeah, this is from Mark. Mark, go ahead. This is the clinical trial on Percepta.
Mark, you're muted.
So as I mentioned previously, Percepta is one of our products that we're co-developing together with Cognitive Clarity. Percepta is quite interesting as a supplement because it really goes towards looking at how to disentangle or dissolve amyloid proteins or plaques or entanglements that are related to changes in memory as we age. So this has been shown in vitro work and also in different development over the past 15, 20 years with Dr. Ellen Snow, who's the head of Cognitive Clarity. And we entered into this partnership together to now take Percepta into human clinical trials. The IPT raised money so that we could fund a trial where you can bring Percepta into a human test population together with cognitive assessments, including the Brain Health Index and others. So we're going to collect wearables data, cognitive assessment data, as well as blood biomarkers like p-tau217. So it's going to be a very interesting, comprehensive clinical trial, seeing how Percepta is affecting memory and really looking to validate this as a supplement for these types of indications, but still as a non-medical product at this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. So the central question in any disease is what you're looking at in the pathology. Is that the cause, and how do you want to treat? And this is exactly the case with the project that we have with Vision Bio. So if you're looking at mitochondria, the mitochondria are the powerhouses of cells, and they're often involved in diseases directly or indirectly. So what has been noticed is that when people age, you can see in the cells that something happens with the mitochondria and also in specific processes of diseases. So these mitochondria are being affected by the processes around them. And they all start to kind of react to the differences in the cell constitution. And they start to what is called fission. They react to the stress, and the fission creates a fragmentation of the mitochondria, which actually accelerates the disease and eventually leads to apoptosis, which is killing the cells. And this is a process we're seeing a lot in various diseases, but certainly also in neurodegeneration and in a variety like Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease, and such. So the idea here was really to study the process of the fission. The researcher, Luis Rios, in the United States, has been working on this for a decade or more and discovered actually in this process a way to block this fission. He came up with the first molecule, a first protein actually, that was able to inhibit this process of fission, and then came up with a small molecule. And this set off an idea to actually look for real potent inhibitors of this process. And this is exactly where we are now. We know that this process will work. It has been proven in vitro and in vivo. And we're now screening in a very intelligent way with billions of compounds to look for those compounds that have high affinity and have drug-like properties that eventually, in an accelerated way, can lead to the first proof of principle tests in various disease indications. So at the moment, we actually have already done the first screen. We know that the system works. We know that out of this screening, we actually have quite some successful hits that have good affinity. And this is just the start, because these are the first hundreds we have looked at, and we have many more to look at. So this is where we are now, and we're very confident that on very short term, we can release some more news on this one to the community. Next one. This is another interesting edge to looking at the problems that we're seeing in aging and in disease. So everybody is probably familiar with the fact that proteins are being translated from mRNA, and this process is done by the ribosomes. And again, this is a process that in cells starts to kind of have problems when cells are aging. So you're seeing that the ribosomes and the whole complexity around it is not able to check the proteins that are being produced, and they're becoming faulty. They have all kinds of problems, and like we've seen in a number of neurodegenerative diseases, they start to form plaques and aggregates, which again affects the cell quality and eventually leads to cell death. Here again, the idea was to screen in a particular assay, which is two researchers here in Basel that have found a way to screen for molecules that eventually would improve the fidelity, so meaning the checking the quality of the proteins that have been produced. So they came actually in a first screen up with two molecules that clearly showed an improved translation correction or translational quality improvement. And they were wondering what these molecules were. They've identified the molecules. They are actually two FDA-approved drugs. And the idea is to dig really deep into the pathways with these tool molecules and eventually identifying the pathways that would lead to a screening of additional molecules that would create IP, but more importantly, would open a road to another way to treat aging processes and neurodegeneration in principle. Again, here we have had already our first successes. We do see the pathways that are involved. We're trying now with the researchers in the University of Basel to really tease out what is this pathway and where do we really need to find an inhibition to improve the translation that we see in these aging cells. Next slide. This is a project that Brian already alluded to in the beginning. It's a project very dear to my heart. It's also a project, and you can see that on the upper part. This is a project which is already more advanced. This is in the so-called lead optimization phase. We identified researchers in the US, in Texas, that were working on a number of molecules that were able to interact with the small conductance channels, the SK channels, that are calcium regulated. And they actually found a number of what they call positive allosteric modulators that are able to correct these channels. These channels, the SK channels, are expressed in various parts in the body, and there's one that is particularly expressed in the Purkinje cells. Now, these Purkinje cells are exactly the ones that are affected in what is called the spinocerebral ataxias. This is a variety of diseases with different mutations that in the end leads to atrophy of the cerebellum and to ataxia, which is a trembling, a tremor that you can see in patients. And this is a progressive disease, so patients over time get worse because this is a process that can't be stopped. The idea with the SK channels is not to treat the disease as such, to stop it, but at least to lighten the symptoms and to eventually overcome the tremor that is taking place and to make the lives of these patients, the many different patients, easier. And again, here, we have identified the molecules already, and we have now been starting to replicate the data from the researchers in the US to make sure that we have a good starting point to improve on these molecules, to make them more drug-like, and to do the first testing in a variety of SCAs and eventually also other diseases where tremors are taking place. So we're very confident again here that on relatively short term, we will be able to reveal to the community where we are with this set of molecules. Next one. So just to conclude on this one, Mark alluded on the clinical trial that we're doing, which is very innovative in this space, trying to understand something that has been around already and trying to prove in an evidence-based way how this might work and how we can take this further. I talked about fission, which is about mitochondria. I've talked about transfidelity, taking another edge, looking at protein translation, and finally ended with the SK channel, which is in principle in that space one of our most advanced drug discovery projects where we might be able to come up with what we call preclinical candidates in 1 year from now. Next slide.
That's my cue, Yatan.
Yes.
So yeah, we're going to enter into a Q&A period after a some brief concluding remarks I have. Thanks again for everybody that's been here. We're happy to answer your questions. I think we've got a Q&A link in the chat. We also got a QR code you can scan. We're eager to look at your questions and answer them. But before diving into that, I just kind of want to wrap it up. Hopefully this has been informative for everybody. And also a call out, Yatan, if you want to go to the next slide. To explore our ecosystem. As Mark alluded to, with the Cortex app coming, you're going to be able to join in the app and find everything to do with Cerebrum and be able to participate with your tokens easily and seamlessly. But in the meantime, you can scan that QR code and find a link to all of our projects and all the ways you can join and participate in our community and where we're publishing. We're quite a transparent organization. We're already publishing results on chain through the Molecule platform for our IPT projects. Both Percepta and Fission is coming soon with some reports. And our Telegram group is getting all the updates as well. So each and every one of our projects has dedicated channels, and you can follow along and see the progress. And if you like what's going on, you can acquire tokens and participate even further in each and every one of the projects. The mission's powerful and important. Really eager to have more and more people join it. Close to 3.5 billion people around the world today. It's like 45% of the population has a neurological condition of some kind. So this is important for everybody. And the therapeutic market potential here is hundreds of billions of dollars. And so we are on a path to hopefully find some therapeutic solutions that can be available to people over time. And those returns that will come into our token and our community will get redeployed to continue to go after all these other diseases. So it's a hugely important market. Brain health touches each and every one of us. We're all aging by the day, by the hour, by the minute. And as you see with some of the therapeutics that we're working on, we're looking to intervene with a lot of those aging processes and keep your brain healthier longer. The beauty of what we're doing with Cerebrum, we hope to be your curated and trusted one-stop shop. We have products, as you heard from Mark, available today that we believe are positive for your brain health. The Exponetic app and Brain Health Index and training materials have been demonstrated in research and measured to have positive effects on your Brain Health Index results. So there are habits and behaviors that we can help you with that product in your daily life to help extend your healthy brain span. And we're looking to prove it with natural products that you can buy that are safe on the shelf today. And we're going to continue to add to that product portfolio. So you can be sure that we're going to follow the science, and we're only going to be putting out products that we believe have been validated. And that's something, an intervention that you can do today, and you can find with Cerebrum, and you can even get in the near future discounts on some of that with your participation in our community. And then for tomorrow, you see all the therapeutic pipeline that we're building, where we're looking to have interventions for a variety of these diseases that have few or no interventions today. And so, an investment of your time and contributions and participation through our tokens today can not only help your brain health today, but it can also help you in the future for you and your family and your friends and loved ones. So we're eager to have more and more people participate. We're thrilled that you're here with us. Click on the link, send us your questions, and I'll stop there, and we'll start fielding questions from the audience.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brian. Yeah, we already are getting a couple of questions in, so let's get to answering them. So the first question, I think, is related more into the neuron itself. So Brian, this question is to you. It's a loaded question. So basically, how does neuron play a role in the ecosystem, and how can the person that purchases a neuron benefit from it, and how they can even purchase a neuron right now?
Yeah, so a neuron's available. You can go to our website and you can find a pathway to go buy neuron on Uniswap right now. We're traded on the Ethereum blockchain on Uniswap or on the Base blockchain. You can even go through the Coinbase app and find us on Base and buy us there. You can also find us on Solana if you're in the Solana ecosystem. We're trading against the BIO token. The Neuron token today is a governance token, so all of our proposals and any spending that the community does goes through governance votes. So you can propose projects, and you can also vote on projects that the community has recommended, or our core team has recommended that we pursue. As we move forward and as the Cortex Act becomes available, we're going to introduce much more utility to the Neuron token. That'll come in the form of being able to stake the token, to be able to stake it to projects or areas that we should be focused on. So you can kind of vote to where the community focus should be. You can also stake it for discounts and benefits in the ecosystem, such as product discounts. So this will be coming soon. You'll see some announcements on this, but we're looking to drive a lot of utility into the Neuron token, a lot of reasons to hold it. As you see, as the projects start generating value, whether it's revenue through growth in Percepta or product partnerships, or we have a breakthrough with one of our IP projects that gets licensed into industry, for example, more funds will flow into the Cerebrum treasury, which we can then deploy for bigger and bigger projects. And we think that that'll drive excitement and demand for the Neuron token as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian. Peter, there's a question that is more in line with what you just explained on fission. And the question says, is fission not an important element in mitophagy? And hence, if you block fission, mitophagy will not work properly. I'll post it here just so that you can also read it. And then you can...
In every process that we're trying to tackle, there is something that we have to keep in mind, that these natural processes of fission also have an advantage. And I guess it's just trying to find the right balance. So in anything that we're trying to block, even with the amyloid theory, we know that the amyloids also have a beneficial effect. That's how they came about. So yes, this is something we have to keep in mind. The experiments that Luis Rios has done on short-term treatment, but also on the longer-term treatment in mice, show good data, show good safety data. This particular process that you're pointing out is something we have to keep in mind, but it's not an absolute blockage. It's not like on these doses and these concentrations that we're using, we will block all fission processes in cells. And it's also a matter of, and that's more part of the drug development process, to particularly target certain tissues rather than having it exposed throughout the whole body. I hope that answers your question. But as I said, it's always going to be a balance between the beneficial and the side effect.
Thank you, Peter. Awesome. Let's actually segue towards another scientific question to you, Peter or Marina, whoever wants to pick it up. And it's how certain are you that the quality of protein issue is an issue with translation rather than an issue with splicing factors? I'll post it here.
You want me to pick it, Marina?
Yes, go for it.
Yeah, this is a tough question. In this particular case, we really are looking at the quality of protein translation. So, as you can imagine, the complex process of transcription and translation, I'm not even talking about the processes beyond, are well controlled, but there's always slippage. And the same goes with splicing. There are many diseases which are characterized by splicing errors. I think here in this particular one, we are specifically focusing on the fidelity of the translation, which is a process normally tightly controlled in the ribosomes. They are constantly making errors, but there's a good control to make sure that these faulty proteins don't, get too much. So this one again is really focusing on the on the translation and not on the splicing.
Thank you, Peter.
Maybe I could add a few points. Concerning the fission, the binding, we are actually targeting the stress-related mitochondrial fission. So this is the very specific detail about this project, which makes the general fission and fusion balance basically intact. And one idea why we actually funded the Transfidelity project is that it is the project, it is the process that is affected in multiple brain aging diseases. So we know that there is an interaction, and we will see in the future in which specific indication we will go once we get more data.
Awesome. Thank you, Marina. And let's end it with the final question here off to you, Brian. And what's your biggest achievement so far at CerebrumDAO?
Our biggest achievement.
Yeah.
Getting to where we are today and having this community, it's truly amazing. Looking over 18 short months to see that we were able to crowdfund that amount of money and deploy it that quickly across high quality projects and have the incredible talent that you see here on the core team, but even beyond in our community working on these projects. There are a lot of people that are doing just brilliant work for us that led to these projects being in our portfolio and advancing at the pace that they're advancing right now. So I would say the fact that we've got a fully functioning global network organization and active community with a high quality portfolio in that short a time, that's only accelerating now, is an incredible achievement.
Yeah, I don't think I can add anything to this. So with that, we can wrap up today's live stream and town hall. I want to thank everybody that joined, and we had over 200 people that joined live across X, YouTube, and LinkedIn. The recording will be available for everybody to watch, and it will also be up on our YouTube. And we'll also share the shorts afterward from here. You can scan the QR code here to explore the ecosystem and check out our website with all the latest updates and news, and all the other questions that you have. We'll pretty much answer them all through Discord or even Telegram if you want to go there and ping us. And whoever wants to be onboarded to the working group members and become part of the DAO, please don't hesitate to reach out to us on Discord, and we'll be able to take you through the process.
Keep an eye out for Cerebrum Cortex. That's the next phase to make it easier and more seamless to get the next wave of community members engaged with us. So we're eager to have your feedback on that to make it simple and easy to engage with us and participate as your global brain health hub.
Amazing. Anybody else wants to add anything? Awesome. I think we're good to go then. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Have a good day.
Everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.